Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On the Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Orduna, this is my mom Gina.
He is the journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
I don't know what I am today. Like, I'm a sports fan, but I'm like in shock for what we have to talk about.
I was going to say shock is more of
I'm the shocked enthusiast today.
Yes, shocked enthusiast for sure. This is breaking news that just came out basically 24 hours ago.
My goodness.
We're focusing on college football today, and we're talking about the Big 12 and the University of Oklahoma's football program.
Boomer Sooner.
Yes, Boomer Sooner. They are without their Hall of Fame head coach, Bob Stoops, right now. 18 years at that program, won national championship in 2000, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, a laundry list of accolades. He decided at age 56 to step down and retire.
On June 7th.
Yes, at whatever time it was in the afternoon, basically, or at least that was when
the news came out.
And he is no longer the head coach. And so there's...
I'm still shocked.
There's a lot of little leads to why maybe it could have happened, but nobody actually knows. And so his predecessor, Lincoln Riley, will now be the head coach.
Or his successor.
His successor, excuse me. Yes, his successor. Yes, thank you. His successor will now be the head coach, Lincoln Riley, who was the offensive coordinator at age 33.
And I think he was also the quarterback's coach.
He was the quarterback's coach. He's the now youngest head coach in FBS football.
Ripe old age of 33. Dude, he's only a few years older than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Not much older than me. And he is now the head coach at a very elite, historic football program in all of college football.
There's a lot to unpack here because I have a bunch to say about that.
Well, why don't you go ahead and just get it started on what your thoughts are about this whole situation.
Well, let's go ahead and say his 2 Heisman Trophy winners were Jason White and the amazing Sam Bradford, who has not been that great in the NFL. But
he's had a solid career.
In 18 years, Bob Stoops had 19 consensus All-Americans.
Yes.
He won 6 Big 12 Coach of the Years. He won 10 Big 12 titles. He only had 9 home losses in 18 years.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even, so here's why I'm shocked.
Yes, yes.
How do you have all of those accolades? 2 years ago, you were in the Final Four. Now you got blown out and embarrassed because we all had you, but you got blown out. The year before, you take down Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. This year you won the big, wouldn't he share the Big 12 title, won the Big 12 title?
Yes.
So he's riding high. He says this is not health related.
It's nothing to do with his health, apparently.
So here's what I'm going to say, and then you just go.
Sure.
2 things. One, how is it that Lincoln Riley just gets promoted?
Right.
Because even Ed Ogeron at LSU, who's been the great defensive coordinator there, he's held down the thing. He had to have the title interim first.
He did.
Go through a full interview. LSU brought in other coaches, and then they named Ed O.
Right.
Lincoln is just it's like, bless
Go ahead,
you.
yes.
I mean, they literally just handed it in there. So that's my first thought. That sounds fishy to me.
Sure.
And number 2, with all those accolades you just listed and I just listed, why would a man who doesn't have health issues or some personal issues or, dare I say it, scandal, just resign?
Right.
I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. And I respect Mr. Stoops. He's a Big 12 coach. You know, I ride or die for the Big 12.
Of course.
But something doesn't smell right about this.
I agree with you. I think the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I do think there's a little smoke here because there's so much uncertainty as to why he would just all of a sudden walk away. And yeah, there are a small handful of coaches that have walked away on their own power when there wasn't really anything going on. Tom Osborne being one of them. It was sort of Pete Carroll at the time. All of the stuff that came out afterwards about, you know, the Heisman stuff with Reggie Bush and people getting houses and things like that. But for the most part, there's only a couple of coaches that were able to walk away from the game with a clean slate. And so now Bob Stoops joins this group of coaches, and you just wonder what is the reasoning for it.
Well, and he retired instead of getting fired. This is, you know, not a known scandal, but see, like Pete Carroll left.
Yes.
Suddenly, all of us were like, "What?"
Exactly.
But then you find out here comes the Reggie Bush
2
stuff.
years later, all the
I mean, the
sanctions,
sanctions,
everything.
USC getting through the ringer.
Right.
Tom Osborne retired because he was 1,000.
He was extremely old.
I love Mr. Osborne. That said that with respect.
Coach
but he had been, whispers of his retirement had been going on for 4 or 5 years prior to it.
Correct.
You know, Bill Snyder is in his 70s.
Yes.
If he made an announcement, I'm retiring, people would be like, well, there you go.
He survives throat cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for him to go ahead and hang it up.
Bob Stoops is 56. He'll be 57 in September.
Right.
He's barely 10 years older than me. I'm 46. I think I'm pretty young.
Yes,
I have friends in their 50s and
hanging out with
some of my 50-year-old friends are like out there. My point is, Tom Osborne was older. Right, you expected it. This was complete. People expected a good 10 years out of him, if not 15 or 20.
Sure.
You're expecting Bob Stoops to be the 70-year-old, main guy at Oklahoma.
And this is a guy that was considered to be basically the best football coach in America, in the country.
It's like Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, Bob Stoops. Those are the names. And then obviously you have Jim Harbaugh. But I mean, those have been the names.
Exactly.
So this is, if all of a sudden Urban Meyer just said, I'm out on June 7th.
Yeah.
People would go, what's going on?
You make it all the way through spring ball.
Right.
You do all the winter conditioning. You do all of this recruiting after the season's done. And now it's the heartbeat of summer workouts. And it's like, okay, I'm done today. I'm hanging it up. I'm done today.
It literally is like that. It's like if I just wake up today and like, what day is it? It's Thursday, June 7th? Hey, kids, family, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
I'm good.
I'm going to the beach. You guys have the house.
You got it.
And then I tell you, hey, Adam, the big, Adam, you got the family. I'm out.
Hey,
I tell your dad, you got this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it just came so far out of nowhere.
Right.
And now he does have twin sons who are going to be seniors this year. They both play football. Apparently, they're decent college prospects. Yep. So I can understand a dad wanting to say, look, if I'm traveling, I don't get to the Friday night lights and that sort of thing. But every college football dad makes those choices and have forever.
Now, I will say for this, we sort of hit on scandal. We don't know for a fact.
As a matter of fact, nothing has come out.
We're not saying
I'm just saying
that there is an actual scandal. But along the lines of sort of that talk, the Joe Mixon thing did come out. And that was one of those things that it was handled. Joe got drafted. They've moved on from there. They did what they did as far as disciplinary acts. And they've moved on. So I don't really say that that's a mark against him. But for what I do know is that there is a newer wave of coaches out there. There's a bunch of guys that are in their 30s right now. You have the coach from Western Michigan who took them to a BCS game, who's now the head coach at Minnesota. He's one of those guys. He's a Jim Tressel guy. His big thing was rowing the boat. Everyone rows the boat.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Then you've got
Tom Herman.
You got Tom Herman. Thank you, at Texas, who was the hot coach coming out of Houston. He's a younger guy that's bringing a lot of fire and intensity, and people are following suit in that. And then you've got Cliff Kingsbury at Texas Tech, a younger guy that has just put Patrick Mahomes in the league. He was a first-round draft pick by our team, the Chiefs.
Mahomes came to the Chiefs.
Mahomes is one of those guys that was out of Cliff Kingsbury's pocket. So there's a younger wave of coaches.
Which is nice, actually.
Willie Taggart from South Florida, younger black African-American coach, up there, take the head coach at Oregon.
I just was thinking, just thinking Willie Taggart's up in Oregon.
Yes.
Here's my thing. I agree with all of that. I love seeing young, fresh blood.
Sure.
Bob Stoops was a young guy. He was only 38 when he took that job.
He was the D coordinator at Florida and got the job at OU.
But 56 is not the old guard by any means.
Not at all. Exactly.
By any means.
So, and again, I'm stretching here trying to say, hey, maybe this is the reason why. There were some rumbles. Hey, big game Bob, he hasn't been winning the big games necessarily.
His national championship was in 2000. It's 2017. 17 years is a long stretch.
And he's had a couple, seasons where there were big blowouts. Ohio State came in early on, blew them out. Then the Clemson losses in the BCS,
which was bad.
The Final Fours, they were pretty bad losses. And then before 2013, when they won the Sugar Bowl against Alabama, that 2012 year was a little rocky. So there were some rumblings back then about him maybe getting fired. Not that was going to actually happen, but there were a few rumblings. But the point is, you could move on past that because of who it is.
Right.
His resume says there's no way he's getting fired.
I don't think anybody at OU is firing Bob Stoops.
And that's the point. We're stretching, reaching, trying to figure out why this actually is happening because it's just this huge shock.
Well, and then the press conference was, hey, I'm going to come and make this announcement. Here's my announcement.
Right.
There was no why, there was no what, there was no, hey, you can all understand.
Right.
It was like, all he did was leave us with more questions.
Correct.
So in the absence of answers, people create their own.
Exactly.
Now I'm going to backtrack a little and say, I think Mr. Stoops is a man of integrity from all accounts. I hope there isn't a scandal that comes up. You know what? Sometimes people wake up and say, I got boosters, I got kids, I got parents, I got recruiting. I've got the right guy right here.
Yes.
I can go home. And maybe that's just what he's decided
to do. The program is at the best that it's probably going to ever be.
Right.
And I'm
somebody
good.
else can have this
someone
headache.
Else is done. You know,
hey, you know what?
Someone else's turn. Yeah.
Spurrier told him, but he told him, I quit.
I quit.
I'm not retired. I quit.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're going to continue to bring you more updates.
Yeah.
Hopefully we find out the real story, and even if there isn't,
well, hey, maybe K-State can win the Big 12 this year.
Well, and OU was one of the favorites, and so maybe it is K-State that jumps up. So we'll see. We'll continue to give you updates as soon as we find out. Continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page. We'll see you again, folks.